reason that attention is currently drawn to the Kent coast is because Nigel Farage has lost. And look, I think you have to point out he's already broken his promise to stand down within 10 minutes. So quite whether or not it turns out to be a promise that he keeps within an hour, we'll find out in a matter of moments. Should he stand down? It's odd. Yes, of course he should, because he said he would. And his whole shtick is built on keeping promises. But my God, you'd have to be absolutely devoid of critical faculties to not recognise the scale of UKIP's result across the country. If you listen to this programme on a regular basis, you'll know that I personally have all sorts of reservations about a lot of the stuff that they have come out with and a lot of the people that they have attracted. But there's no earthly way that 12% of the nation, or maybe there is, but I don't personally believe that 12% of the nation are any of the things that the more extreme fringes of the UK Independence Party are accused of being. So how can they only have ended up with one vote? And here he is.
In the local elections, we love what you stand for. We agree with you. But we can't afford to have a Labour SNP coalition. So I think some of those older voters who've been voting UKIP for the last couple of years did vote Conservative yesterday, and yet that vote was supplemented, augmented, replaced by a different kind of voter. And the new UKIP voter is predominantly working class, very much younger than it ever was before. And I would characterise our strength in this constituency, and it's being seen all over the country, young working couples, and in particular young women, now voting UKIP. And they're looking for change. They're the kind of people who feel they work hard, do their best, pay for childcare, but are frankly little better off than those that don't work. And that is a big social problem within this country. Personally, I think the first past the post system is bankrupt. It's bankrupt because one party can get 50% of the vote in Scotland and nearly 100% of the seats, and our party can get 4 million votes and just one seat. And I think for those reasons, there'll be a lot of angry UKIP people out there, but not giving up on UKIP, but absolutely determined that we get a fairer, more reflective system. But there's something deeper about this first past the post system. What it's led to is a general election in which, because the system that was designed to produce majority government couldn't do it, has led to a totally negative general election campaign. Everybody says, don't vote for these guys, they're slightly worse than us. And my feeling is, if we had a proportional system, actually you'd say, please vote for me, because every single vote counts, and this is what we stand for. So I think electoral reform wouldn't just make our politics fairer, I think it would make it more open, more honest, and we'd see some real debate.
Now, I said, as this campaign went on, that if I didn't win, I would stand down as leader of UKIP. And I know that you in the media are used to party leaders making endless promises that they don't actually keep, but I'm a man of my word. I don't break my word, so I should be writing to the UKIP National Executive in a few minutes, saying that I am standing down as leader of UKIP. I will recommend that pro tem they put in place as acting leader Suzanne Evans, who I think has emerged from this campaign as an absolute tower of strength within UKIP. She works in London, she's based in the London office, and I think that's the right way for us to go. As far as I'm concerned personally, well, yes, there's a bit of me that's disappointed, but there's a bit of me this morning that's happier than I've felt for many, many years. There hasn't been a single life since 1994 that has not been dominated by UKIP. I've tried to mix that with family. I tried for 9 years to mix it with running my own business. And it really has been 7 days a week, totally unrelenting, and occasionally let down by people who perhaps haven't always said and done the right things. So I feel a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders. I haven't had a fortnight's holiday since October 1993. I intend to take the summer off, enjoy myself a little bit, not do very much politics at all, and there will be a leadership election for the next leader of UKIP in September, and I will consider over the course of this summer whether to put my name forward to do that job again. One thing I'm absolutely certain of is there are opportunities coming up electorally. I look at the Welsh Assembly elections next year, the Scottish Parliament the year after, the London Assembly elections, goodness knows what by-elections may come, and I think those 4 million people out there are pretty loyal. They're voting for us not because they think we're slightly less worse than somebody else, They're voting for us because they believe in us. And I think the next chapter of UKIP has begun. I want us to reform our membership model. I want to make this a party that you can join for £10 and not £30. I want us to recognise the huge success we've had in this campaign on social media and work even harder on that. And I think you'll see a younger, more vibrant, energetic UKIP campaigning not just to get our country back from Brussels, not just to control immigration sensibly with the Australian-style point system, but one that actually wants to see a fairer society that helps those who are out there working hard and trying their best to have a better life, and an electoral system that actually engages people and gets people thinking that when they vote, they might just get a government and a parliament that is representative of their views. Thank you.
Nigel, Darren first.
So that is Nigel Farage in Margate. What do we make of that, Laura? So he's standing down, but he may stand again.
Well, when is toast not toast? He promised consistently he would go if he didn't get this seat, he would resign for the leadership. Except now we have a sort of Vicky Pollard resignation. I'm going to go off, I'm going to have a summer holiday and then think about whether or not I'll stand again. Now, I imagine the party membership would be delighted if he wants to basically stay on but have a bit of a rest. But at the same time, isn't that exactly the kind of politicking that he says consistently drives him so nuts about the kinds of messages that we get from other political parties?
I think there are one or two people in UKIP who think actually they might make quite good leaders of UKIP, and that now he's said he's going to go, he really rather ought to stick by it for some of the reasons that Laura just said. It is a kind of slightly odd, I mean, almost kind of beg me to stay, and if you beg me enough, then in that case I might reconsider. And there's always a big chance that they won't beg him. You know?
And Nigel Farage there resigning, and then, well, unresigning really, suggesting that he might actually run for the leadership of the party again come September. I don't think you have to be Nostradamus to predict that he almost certainly will. I hope he keeps his word on the other stuff, though. I hope he really does relax, take some time, spend it with his family, try to get away from the hubbub of politics, because I think he'll live longer as a result, and I'm sure that his family would love to spend a little bit of time with him. Whatever you think of the man, there was one element of what he just said there that was absolutely dripping with honesty, and that was that his commitment to his cause has been as close to complete as it's possible to imagine. But perhaps characteristically, he's having his cake and eating it, isn't he? It's a little bit Putin-esque. I'm resigning, but I might run again in less than 6 months. May, June, July, August, September. Less than 6 months' time. Theo Usherwood is LBC's political editor, so he sort of did, and then he sort of didn't, Theo.
You have to hand it to him, James. You have to hand it to him. Extraordinary. I resign, and then there's going to be a leadership election, and I might run, and then I might run again. I can tell you something. I can guarantee you something. Nick Clegg and Ed Miliband are both expected to resign within the next hour. They will not be saying in their statements there'll be a leadership contest and they'll be running it and they'll be running again. I can guarantee you that. I'll bet my mortgge on it that they won't be making
calm down,
caveats
Theo.
like that.
You've been up all night.
Sleep, I know. But it's interesting also that he did put Suzanne Evans in charge pro tem, as he put it. She did a fantastic job. Well, the UKIP think that she did a fantastic job on the manifesto, and the manifesto was a real banana skin for UKIP going into this election. We know what happened last time around in 2010. Nigel Farage ended up calling it complete drivel, even though he signed the forward to it. So she did a very good job. It was properly costed, and they had it independently verified, and it went down well. So that's why her star has risen so far up, and that's why she's now being put in charge temporarily. If other people put their name forward, you can expect Patrick O'Flynn, Stephen Wolfe, Paul Nuttall, the deputy leader. What
about their MP, Douglas Carswell?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Douglas Carswell will not put his name forward. He's not part of that clique. He's not part of that inner circle around Nigel Farage. The two don't get on. It wouldn't work. And Douglas Carswell is now going to find himself in quite a lonely place as the only UKIP MP in the Houses of Parliament. He's going to probably sit alongside the SNP, and he's going to strike quite a lonely figure because, of course, Mark Reckless lost his seat. Tim Aker over in Thurrock, that was the other banker, or UKIP thought that was their banker over in Thurrock on the Thames Estuary.
I'm just going to interrupt you there because we have one of the men of the moment on the other line, the former, the once and future, perhaps, leader of UKIP. Nigel Farage is here. Nigel, good morning. How are you feeling?
Hello. Not too bad. I had the best night's sleep in years. I went to bed at 11:30. I didn't stay up for any of the coverage. I could see yesterday exactly what was happening, that the fear of the SNP had made people revert back to the Conservative Party, and that was happening from Labour voters and from UKIP voters. What I was surprised by when I woke up was that UKIP still got 4 million votes. And to think, last year we got 4.3 million votes and won a national election, and to have got that number of votes under the first past the post system with now an increasing number of younger, 20 to 30-year-olds, particularly women, voting UKIP, I think says a lot for UKIP's future.
You mentioned fear. Nick Clegg, oddly, I don't know if you saw his resignation speech, also spoke of fear and grievance having won the day. Obviously, you're approaching that fear from two very different angles. You think fear of the SNP was entirely justified?
I think fear of a Labour SNP coalition, in which, from what I could see of the personal chemistry, I'm pretty certain which one of them would have worn the trousers. I think that made English voters very nervous indeed.
Why?
Because I think the English are feeling already pretty hacked off. Under the Barnett formula, we keep shoveling all this money over Hadrian's Wall. Free prescriptions and no tuition fees and all the rest of it.
Do you really think that it comes down to that sort of envy of other people's pocket money?
Not envy. No, that's the wrong word. I think what people are looking for is a sense of fairness. And I also think there's been quite a big rise in the sense of English identity. And that's been happening gradually over the last 20 years or so. So, no, they were scared of that coalition, and that did for Ed Miliband, who, himself did not perform badly, I thought, during the election campaign. I thought the way the Tory press treated him was pretty beastly, frankly.
Well, I'm sure he may have things to say on that subject himself when we finally hear from him, which is, I'm told, imminent. Speaking of fairness, Nigel, just respond to this text I've got here from Abby, who's in Surrey. He said, can someone please advise your newscasters to stop saying that Nigel Farage has resigned as UKIP leader? He has temporarily handed over power to Suzanne Evans so he can have a nice holiday until he returns in September.
Well, I have resigned as UKIP leader. I'm just about to write the letter, actually. And I recommended to the NEC that Suzanne Evans becomes the caretaker manager over the period of the summer. And I'm going to go away for the summer. I haven't had a proper holiday since October 1993. Building up UKIP from nothing.
But you're coming back, aren't you?
Dominating UKIP, as I may have done in the early days, building it up, it's taken 20 years of my life away. It's been at a massive personal
You're
cost.
coming back, though, aren't you, Nigel?
Do you know what? I honestly and truthfully cannot answer that question. I want to go away. I want to catch a fish, drink a beer, travel the world a bit, and think about my life.
Well, good luck with the travelling. The likelihood of you not returning during that September leadership election for UKIP, where would you put it?
Your guess is as good as mine.
OK, my guess is 100% certain that you'll be there.
Right at the moment, you know what? Right at the moment, politics is pretty down on my list of priorities.
and I wish you well, and I hope you have a lovely holiday. But do you think it's fair to suggest that when people heard you promise to resign if you didn't win your seat, they probably didn't realise there was even the vaguest chance of it just being a 5-month hiatus?
Look, unlike the others, I keep my promise. I said I would resign if I didn't win the seat. I very nearly did, but I didn't. So I've done the honourable thing. I've resigned, and that must be right.
But it's not a resignation. It's a temporary withdrawal.
Well, that's your prediction. So, if you want to get yourself down to Ladbrokes at lunchtime, you might make some money on it, but you might lose. I'm 51. I've been doing this since I was 29. It's completely dominated every aspect of my life. A lot of it's been fun. I'm proud of the fact that we got Cameron to pledge to a referendum, which he was totally opposed to, and which he will now have to deliver. I'm proud of the fact that we got 4 million votes, and that we're now getting, as I said to you earlier, younger voters, engaging in politics who would not otherwise have voted for anybody. And I think I've helped to change political debate. And I now need to decide what to do with the rest of my life.
And I hope you make a choice that brings you happiness, Nigel Farage. I truly do. And I think we can both agree that your last comment about you having effected major change to British political debate is inarguable. Nigel Farage there, the once and perhaps future leader of UKIP.
And if young Nigel says he's happy, he must be happy, he must be happy, he must be happy in his world.